Hello there and welcome to Katawa Shoujo, Lynx here. For some reason we have the letter from Yamaku over here. Again! I can immediately tell from the envelope that's not about official matters of any sort. Someone actually wrote me an old-fashioned handwritten paper letter. There was no scene with the letter being delivered, right? Huh. Who bothers doing something like that in this day and age, anyway? Yet, as unlikely as the prospect of receiving one sounds, there is definitely a letter lying on my desk. The class for the day are over. Still feeling pretty full from the big lunch that I had unexpectedly eaten at the cafeteria, I returned to my dorm planning on finishing my homework and probably skipping dinner, or at least just eating light. I feel like I need to eat less than I used to. Maybe I don't use that much energy now that I don't do much beyond reading. Is that so? Which is funny enough, because if I do less, I actually eat more. If I do more, I eat less. And I don't really understand why it's like that. It's weird. But anyway. However, the letter on my desk has naturally caught my interest. It's the first piece of mail I've received here at Yamaku. So I'd feel it would feel special even if it wasn't something as rare as a handwritten letter. What causes me even more trepidation is the name of the sender, written neatly on the back of the envelope. Iwanako. I have no idea why she would write to me. I hadn't been in contact with anyone from my old school since I transferred, and Iwanako is the last person I'd expect to want to write me a letter. The last time I saw her was terribly awkward, embarrassingly so. She came to my hospital room, peeled me an apple out of courtesy, and then we practically sat in silence for half an hour. Which is a little bit similar to the situation with Rin, by the way. She said goodbye and then looked me in the eye when she closed the door. It might have been a natural end to the series of events that were probably pretty painful for both of us. Every time she visited me in the hospital, I wanted to talk to her, but something stopped me every time. Every time that I didn't speak made the next time even harder. Iwanako always had this aura of fragility around her, as if she'd clatter into pieces at the slightest disturbance. Initially, I think it might have been that delicacy that attracted me to her, but after what happened back then, it felt as if she really had shattered. She looked so sad that I didn't want to say anything that might upset her, and I never could figure out the right words to say. I told her that it wasn't her fault. She nodded, and then I really think she understood that if it hadn't been that, then sooner or later, something else would have made my heart give out. Yet she looked so hopelessly sad every time she opened the door and entered my room. So I never managed to say the things I wanted to say. In the end, that might have hurt her even more. Carefully, I opened the envelope and drew out the folded letter from within.
Dear Hisao, how are you? I hope you are well and happy at your new school. Everyone here misses you. Almost all of our school second year class got put together in class 3-1 for the final year. So we are pretty comfortable right from the beginning of the year. I'm sure you have been assigned to this class as well. The mood among the third years seem to be very anxious about the final exams, even though they are so far away. The teachers are badgering us about it all the time. Even old Mr. Tachibana, who is, by the way, our homeroom teacher this year. Would you believe it? I was sure that he retired after our second year, but here he is, nagging everyone about studying for exams. I think things like that are the main reason why the mood among the third years is so nervous. I must admit that I'm somehow losing confidence in myself as well. Even though I always fared reasonably well in exams. It's so weird to think that we are already seniors, isn't it? Time has really flown past. I wonder where it went. The new first year seems so young and somehow really innocent. I keep wondering if I was like them in my first year. I've been feeling nostalgic like it's for the whole first trimester. There are other things I want to say. I'm writing to you because I felt that there are things I should have said after the incident back in winter. I regret that I wasn't able to say them in person, and I have no excuse for it. The truth is, the times when I visited you at the hospital made me worried about you. I'm not talking about your health. You seem to become more distant and disheartened. It was natural, after something like that happened, I'm sure, but somehow I got the feeling that you had given up on something back then. Happiness, maybe. I want to somehow express my feelings, but the right words didn't come to me. I couldn't say anything to comfort you. I'm really sorry for not being able to support you when it mattered the most. Even though I like you so much, at least now, finally, I can be more honest. If I could go back to those quiet days in February and March, I'd tell you to not give up on yourself. That's what I would say. Maybe you wouldn't have drifted so far away if I had just said something. I hope you've managed to get back on your feet on your own. Now that the distance between us is also physical, it also feels more final. Somehow I wonder if we still... If we will meet again. Perhaps it's for the best if we don't. Still, if you would like to correspond with me, by all means, write me back. I'd very much like to hear about your new school and how you are doing. I wish you all the best. Sincerely, Iwanako.
Iwanako also needs her root, okay? After finishing reading the letter, I folded it like it was and placed it on my desk. I don't know what to think of this. I feel empty and confused. Why now, after all this time? Just yesterday I said that I can't let myself stay like this, that I tried to get on top of my own life. Reading this letter just reminds me of what could have been. Of course I wish that I didn't have to be here. I'd want to be in the same class with Iwanako again. Maybe we would talk every day and go on dates. My life didn't go like that. I really need to be reminded of this. Iwanako needed to write this letter for her own sake, and I'm glad for her that she could. But it would have been better if I hadn't read it. Of course she's right. I thought of the same thing yesterday. I had fallen into a pit of depression now. Have to try to climb out. It's tough, ain't it? I rip out a page from my notebook. After a moment of thinking how to frame my words, write a short reply to Iwanako. I find it difficult to be really honest to her, but at least I try to appear somewhat convincing. I don't write her about Yamaku at all. I doubt she'll write me again, but I don't feel at all sad about it. I fold my own letter to her and thus I have no envelope set next to Iwanako's. I'll mail to her later. Then I lie back on my bed, looking at the monotone grey ceiling. A bird sings outside of my window, and a sudden gust of wind flutters my curtains. The summer afternoon feels still, as if time had stopped for a brief moment. I think about all the things I've lost and will never again. And will never again what? Oh, regain! Oh my god, sorry. And I will never again. Oh my god. Regain. Sorry. My mistake. My blunder. I mean, yeah, there will be stuff he can't regain. That's true. Thus, the languid days of mid-June pass by. I mail my letter to Iwanako and receive no reply. Having decided to ditch the old me, I start observing my fellow students even closer than I did before, hoping to understand how other people cope with their own issues. I start seeing things I didn't before, and it makes me wonder if I've been wrong twice. Superficially, everyone is abnormal, yet so strikingly normal that it shocked me at first. I admired the way my new schoolmates turned my purchases around just like that, simply buying themselves out. What? By being themselves. Now that I've gotten used to it, I begin noticing other kinds of tones in the people surrounding my everyday. There is this soft, numb sadness all around me. I can see the effort everyone has to make just to get through the day, and how it weighs on their shoulders like it weighs on mine. Even the brightest smile is just slightly subdued. Every outburst of annoyance just slightly dampened. It's subtle, but it's definitely there. I try to think what it means, what I can learn from others. I wonder if deep down, everyone is as lost as I am. Is there even one person here who has truly found peace? I start to feel doubtful about myself once again. I can't decide whether these people are happy, unhappy, or if they've just learned to cope and now live in an unfeeling limbo like I did all spring. I escape from these feelings into the towering piles of books I carry to my room, from Yuko's sanctuary. After realizing this will just shut me down even more, I start to going to the art club's room more often, usually whenever I can. Rin too seems to spend more time in there than in her own classroom. I often seen her totter towards the door at the very end of our corridor. That wooden door and the room behind it, smelling of paint and paper, seem to mean more to her than the rest of the world combined. She says she has special permission to use the room, which I don't doubt at all. I don't think Nomiya would deny Rin anything. He seems to dote her like an uncle upon a favorite niece. The object of his affection, however, has no favorites. She says she appreciates the teacher a lot for going the extra mile for her sake, but even when she says that, her expression is the same as always. It's as if she was talking about a particularly unremarkable rock that she saw the other day. I can't really figure out their relationship. Rin doesn't seem to let anyone else close. I don't think even Emi could say she's crossed the gap that seems to separate Rin from the rest of the world. I don't understand it. She seems so indifferent, yet so passionate at the same time. The school bells are ringing. Man, I wish my school bells were like that. I don't know why, but I wish it was like that, you know. Like, you know, it was like an actual bell and not some crappy different one. Okay. I don't understand it. She seems so different. I read this. Somewhere the school bell... Oh, bells ring the last call of the day. Yeah, I was talking because I was looking at something else just a second ago. I realize I've been zoning out for who knows how long. Dazed, I sit up straighter, trying... Okay, I will do that. I will sit up straighter. I'll try. Straighter. Trying to look as inconspicuous as possible. The pungent smells of linseed oil and turpentine mix in my nostrils as I draw a deep breath. I feel drowsy and lightheaded. It's already this late, and a few club members left early. So just me, Rin, and the teacher, and two other girls who are also about to leave.
Damn!
That's awesome. Rin is sitting to my right, slowly working on a painting while I'm idling the time away. Finally we got some CG of hers. I don't think she realizes I've been watching her this whole time. With a nimble move of her delicate ankle, she dips the brush in the crimson paint and presses it lightly on the canvas. A stain spreads around as if the brush was bleeding. Her progress has slowed down to a crawl. By now I've learned that this is dangerous for her technique, as the paint must not be allowed to dry before she's finished. It occurs to me that I am literally watching paint dry, and yet somehow I'm not feeling bored, despite spacing out just now. Anyone else notice that she doesn't have nails? I had to. Most of the time, the art club is very relaxed and freeform. Apart from times when Nomiya gets really excited about some technique or style he wants to teach us about, everyone is free to pursue their own interests. I should have made a break while reading that, but it's fine. Lacking one, I keep floating around without the direction. I try this, that, but nothing relieves me with a deeper impression, not to mention that I don't seem to have a special knack for anything. Well, I did get praise for an attempt at watercolors, and I felt pretty good about that myself, but that's it. I suppose it's to be expected. I joined the art club mostly on a whim after all. I'm thinking that maybe I should quit the club, if it's going to be this pointless. But there is nothing really wrong with pointlessness, and I can't exactly say I am unhappy. Unsatisfied? Maybe. But I've got myself to blame for that. As the pair of girls exit the club room with a cheerful bye-bye, Nomiya stands up from his desk. His chair scoots back with a loud screech that breaks the harmony of the quiet afternoon. He taps a pile of papers in his hands twice against the tabletop in order to straighten them, then stretches his back. I have a No, that's Kenji. I have a faculty meeting to attend. That's the same voice, whatever. So I can't stay. I'll have to do some paperwork later, so if you want to stay, we can talk then. Sorry about this. There are two people here, but he's really talking to only one of us. Nomiya spends extra hours of his time mentoring Green after official club hours are over. And I'll bet he'd like to discuss his plan of getting Green's art into a gallery a little more. It's alright. I think I'll probably be here, but it's not a big deal if I'm not. I don't really have much going now. Reina answers without moving her eyes from her work in progress. The tone of her voice is neither the polite kind expected when talking to a teacher, nor her usual monotone. So, you want me to send a search party if you aren't here? Yeah, no thanks. I don't like to party. We can talk later. Good girl. Smiling, the teacher picks up the rest of his papers, makes his way to the door. I glance at the clock above it and then at my watch to double check. They are 3 minutes apart, but nevertheless the club's meeting time is over now. Rin seems intent on staying here to work on her piece, while waiting for the teacher. I can't quite imagine what their one-on-one time would be like. Would they actually discuss anything? Rin is always so subdued in what she says, and when she does say something, it's difficult to understand what she's talking about. Maybe the man just talks endlessly like he does at the club meetings, letting Rin absorb what she will from his infinite well of art knowledge, like a sunflower turning to face the glowing sun. Maybe. Do you mind if I say I thought maybe I'd give watercolors another try? I blurt out the excuse sort of accidentally, embarrassing myself. Rin doesn't take her eyes off her painting. Okay. I shift around in my chair, then get to fetching a cup of water, brushes, colors, some paper, and the sound of my footsteps invades the still afternoon air. Before starting, I tried to recall what the teacher told us. An important philosophy of the medium. Working with watercolors means more working with water than working with the color. Is that so? I try to keep that in mind and dip my tiny sable brush into the water cup. I'm mixing yellow and blue, trying to capture the sunlit treetops outside of the window. The sun is low, so the yellows are more pronounced and everything looks darker. I still can't quite connect what I see with what my hand does with the paint, but it's a passable attempt for my level. After a while, I start losing my focus and move the paper aside, deciding to watch Rin work for a while instead. That little while stretches first into a long while, then into a really long while. Rin paints her entire being fully concentrated on the brush between her slender toes, and the painting coming to life one stroke at a time. She seems determined and yet at the same time relaxed, effortlessly moving the brush around, never hesitating. Colors meet and part, mix and cover each other on the canvas, bending to her quiet will. I don't know anything about composition. Same. Structure and all that stuff. Same. But I really like Rin's paintings. Same. I like how she looks when she paints. I mean, this one especially looks nice. As usual, the silence between us compels me to speak rather than merely wait for her to open up. She might end up saying nothing at all. Do you mind if we talk?
I don't mind.
I kinda want to ask more about why you get so weird about things like the teacher wants to arrange for you. Rin picks up a tube of paint and squeezes it with extra glue on a palette almost as easily as someone with opposable thumbs would. Taking up a brush again, she replies.
A lot of things, and some not things, and things. I don't think that's a word.
Do you want to talk about it? I try to react to her clumsily, ignoring the embarrassing feeling of awkwardness. Rin keeps her focus on the painting, spreading more and more paint on the canvas, her lips forming a perfectly straight line as she concentrates on the job.
Not really. Talking is hard. I mean, it's not hard. I'm talking even now, but saying the right things is really hard for me. No matter what, I just can't say the things I want.
That sounds weird.
It's true. I say all kinds of things I don't really mean all the time. And sometimes I forget words and then I use the wrong words. I then come up with new words for things that already have some. That's the worst thing. I get really nervous and everything comes out a mess. And even I don't really understand what I want to say. I think there's something wrong with me that makes it like this. Remember when I said I cannot think of 4 things at the same time?
I nod wordlessly.
It's not really 4. I mean it is 4, but everything else is also there, kind of in the background. Like being at the amusement park and a beehive at the same time. But that's not the point. I used to do better. Like 6 or 7 things. I think so at least. I feel like I'm becoming dumber.
Same. I think everyone has times when they feel like they can't say the right things.
But it's there all the time. Stronger and deeper. Yeah. Deeper is a good word. I like that word. Deeper. It's that feeling of being underwater. Maybe it's just hard.
Feeling of being underwater. Huh. Funnily enough, I described the feeling of being underwater and like falling deeper into the water like a good thing. I don't know why. Anyway.
The more I paint, the more words I forget. Maybe at some point I'll forget how to speak completely.
I think I know why I feel like that. Why it might feel like a good thing. I got it now, right now. It's kinda related to sports, I would say. Like, you know, you go deeper underwater and deeper and, you know, the things around you kind of disappear, right? And you concentrate on one thing. So it's the same in sports, kind of. You go deeper and deeper into concentrating on that and everything else kinda stops mattering, right? Kinda disappears. Anyway.
It feels like I'm slowly forgetting everything. Do you remember what you thought about things 3 or 4 years ago? Kind of. I don't.
A long pause ensues, during which time seems to bend around itself, almost tying itself into a knot. I don't think I ever heard Rin talk like this earnestly and for so long about anything before.
It's true. It's like I'm fading away from the world.
Rin's foot has stopped its work on the canvas and she's staring at her painting, unmoving as if gazing at some faraway horizon. Sunlight briefly glints in the corner of her onyx eyes. Something floats up in the top layer of Rin's being and she lets out a long breath. Then she blinks and it's gone.
Paintings stay behind. When I look at my old things, I remember what I was thinking back when I made them. They make me feel like I can be with all the past me's when I was a different me. I guess they are the proof of my existence.
She used the exact same words Nomiya used when he spoke to us of the nature of art. I didn't think Rin was paying attention back then. I wonder if she was listening or whether she had heard the same passionate speech from Nomiya before. Either way, I feel overwhelmed. Boy, are you complicated. I would have taken up writing a diary. Her eyes quickly flicker in my direction, then back to the painting, but she doesn't pick up the brush anymore.
That's a great idea. Why did I ever think of that?
Are you being sarcastic?
What's sarcasm?
I don't call her on the joke if it is one. Right at that moment, Nomiya returns from his being. He waves to us a very melodramatic hello, mildly surprised to see me here along with his pet student. Walking with the butcher's gate to his desk, he drops his papers upon it. He picks up a handkerchief and cleans his glasses with incredibly meticulous care before walking over to us. Before he is within earshot of us, Rin says something to me in a quick, quiet voice.
Change is the scariest thing in the world to me. And I seriously don't know if I want to change to a person who could do the thing that teacher wants me to do. I don't know if I could, even if I wanted to.
I mean, you don't need to change yourself.
Hello again!
Hello.
What's going on? He smiles a bit sheepishly.
He smiles a bit sheepishly, looking at both of us with uninhibited interest. Nothing. We're just talking about that thing with your acquaintance and the gallery. For Rin's work, sort of.
Oh, any decisions?
I look at Rin, who is trying to arrange the bothered expression on her face into something else. Anyway, I don't think I have much else to say, other than that you should go for it.
Safe. Return. What am I supposed to do?
Because it would be exciting. It isn't like you at all to hesitate like this. I think you'd be a big hit. No. Is Rin someone who hesitates about stuff? I mean, I would say she might be. Let's say first one. Don't you think it would be exciting? It'd be a while. I'd be wild about something like this.
So would I, but it's about things like a current future rather than a full adventure. Oh, there's nothing wrong with enjoying oneself.
Nomiya gently reprimands my excitement, but I'm not going to let it go. Seriously. Everyday life's so dull. You always do the same thing every day in the same way. This will be something else.
No, my boy, it's a big decision even though I'd like this. You got to be more decisive as well. She needs time to mull it over. Why don't we let her make the decision? You have a good intention, but the idea it comes down to her own feelings. Any thoughts on the subject, Tezuka? You've been quiet all afternoon.
We both look at Rin, who doesn't return either of our gazes.
No, I think I'm going. You are? What a shame. Promise me you'll give me some kind of answer in a week or so, alright? Alright. Good girl.
Rin stands up and trots out the room without anyone saying anything further. Nomi looks at me over his circular open glasses, smiling sympathetically.
You made friends with her then, Nakai?
Well, something like that, I guess. Depends on how you look at it, to be honest. I'm not really sure. It's more like me and Rin just tend to hang around each other irregularly, talking or not about something that more often resembles some twisted mockery of philosophy rather than normal everyday things that friends chat about.
Well, that's all good, ain't it? You're a new student, and we should be promoting integration, the student body and such. I can't remember all the passwords they spew at faculty and Yamaku Foundation meetings, but that's how it is. Tezuka isn't the most social person around these parts either.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
So she's talking about a suggestion to you?
No, not really. I think it's been more me pressing her to decide something. Maybe I shouldn't have.
No, I'm sure it's fine. I'm too soft with her. Even when I shouldn't. I don't really know how to handle Tezuka. She's so independent and willful. I wonder if that is what every old geezer of an art teacher who got his hands on a young confused prodigy felt like.
He chuckles ironically to himself a little bit, turning to face Rin's latest work, which she left drying on the easel. She departed so abruptly that I wonder if she considers it finally finished. So, let's see the painting then. He leans in closer, peering at the canvas. It draws you in, doesn't it? Nomiya stands back straight, his face a dreamy nostalgic visage. I don't answer him, as he seems to be taking my agreement as a given. I sometimes stay here after hours just to look at Tezuka's paintings. She's really just prodigious, and as such I can change. I could seriously think of what she could become with a few more years of refinement. You ask what makes an artist, remember? This is it. Take a piece of the world and reshape it in their own image, metaphorically of course. Looking at her makes you wonder what the world looks like through her eyes. It's a wonderful thing to be young and full of passion. The most extraordinary time of your life. You would do well to remember that, Nakai. Yes, sir. It's so silly. People always ask artists, where do you get your ideas? As if ideas were something sold at the market for pocket change. You can't explain inspiration for people like Tezuka. It's like breathing. It's an instinct. I mean, that's true, I guess. Probably, I think.
I don't know, man. I'm not an artist.
It's probably like that, yeah. I'm guessing. I've met maybe one or two with the same kind of raw potential. But no amount of potential will amount to anything if one does the work to realize it. It's practice, technique, skill. Draw for an hour every day for a few years and even the most hopeless cases become a possible artist. Guys, from now on we are drawing every day for an hour. Maybe we'll learn to draw something better than stickmans. In my case. Tezuka is not brilliant because she was born with natural talent for this kind of thing. She's brilliant because she worked harder than anyone else. Ever since she learned to hold a pen, most likely. And all of it to her feet, no less. Absolutely phenomenal. Silence finally ends in the clubroom as Nomiya let himself get drawn back into Rin's painting, gently murmuring acceptance toward the still wet canvas. What kind of things do you paint yourself? As if waking from a reverie, he looks at me, surprised at my talking to him. Oh, I don't know it anymore. I became an art teacher only after my career in that field came to an end. Now I just pass on knowledge to the next generation. The way Nomiya answers is curious, both giving and withholding information. I feel like ask more, but he cuts in before I get the chance. Now you should run along, my boy. It's almost dinner time, ain't it? Yes, sir. Have a good evening. You too. We should Google him. I quickly collect my stuff and step out into the deserted hallway, leaving the teacher alone with his musings. The weekend will be here soon. It's amazing how fast time flies here. I promised Emi I'd join her for the celebration of her triumph at the track meet last week. That should be plenty of fun. And we might be doing this in the next episode. For now, hope you enjoyed. Hope you have a wonderful day. Go paint something and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye bye.